Okay. And you can see we've got a couple of holes here, and it may mean that in these particular ones we need these triangle shapes because that has a little twist in it. Oh, I missed. See, right there. Didn't get it right on the corner. Actually, that line isn't right on the corner, so I'm going to do this. And I'm going to come back and redraw that line in. So that means that these two surfaces actually have a little twist in them where these don't. Alright, so here's our end cap. And so once you get it done, what you want to do is you want to get your end cap centered in the area, and then you're going to just twist and look at it from all different angles to see if the shape has a nice graceful flow. And I can see right here that I've got a problem right here. See how that dips in right there? That means that arc wasn't exactly in the right place. It looks okay further up the row here, but it's actually really dipping in here. And if I were to go ahead and take the shadow and put the shadow on and move it around, generally you could really see that there might be a problem with that shape. Another way to do that is to come in here and make sure that View Hidden is not selected. Go to Component, and again on Components, not Components, Styles. Click the house to make sure we have just the style we're working on. Okay. Edit, turn these lines off so we have no lines, and then we need to highlight it and smooth it, or the soften edges. Again, if you go too far, sometimes you can see how this popped in up here, you can start getting strange things. So you want to come back to, you get a nice straight edge. Okay. And now if I take my shadow setting and move this back and forth over the surface, well, no, actually that's looking okay. I think that's going to be fine. But these are the ways you double check. It's because it's only with the shadow traveling over the surface that you can really see. I'm going to grab this part so that it makes it move. That's the time of the month of the year rather than the hour and the date, but moves the shadow a little bit differently and helps you evaluate to see if your shape is smooth and you've got the right type of shape that you want. I'm going to take the shadow off, and what I also want to show you is I'm going to go back to Styles, turn these two lines, all my lines back on. Alright, and then I'm going to take my Soften tool off again, so I've got to highlight the whole thing. Come all the way down, click here. And I can see my lines are a little thicker than I want. Oh, got one on here that I don't want. There we go. So I get back to the line drawing that I want. Okay, let's say that this line wasn't exactly where I wanted it. And I could change this a little bit. I'm going to take about the halfway point of the arc, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to highlight all the lines of the segment that create that arc. Okay, now I'm going to turn this. I don't want to see it at an angle. I'm going to turn it so I'm looking flat at it. In fact, you guys see here there's kind of a little indentation in there. Alright, that doesn't look quite maybe where I want it. I'm going to go up and get the Rotate tool. Click on it. Bring it down so that I have in this case, a green tool to work with, which means it's on the green axis. And when you're doing this, I've found that it works best if you're changing a line, you want it on the regular axis. If you put it up here, you can get some really strange things happening. Get the green axis, hold the Shift key down, come down to the inside corner or the bottom of this and click. go up and click here. Let go of the Shift key. Now you see I can move this whole line just a little bit. And this is kind of tricky, but I can bring it up very slowly to get it to a place that I feel looks, especially in here now, see the relationship between these looks much better. And what I'd have to do is I'd have to go back and click on individual parts. See how there's a dent in here? Go back and get this, make sure it's on the green axis. And I could draw that back up. Alright, so there is a way where you can go in and modify the curve in small segments and bring things to the area that you want if you have a bad spot. Alright? And till you get your shape and your shell. Alright, so that ends this section on when you have a more complicated shape. If you want to try to get it closer to the real shape, you're going to do a lot of hand drawing, a lot of work where you're drawing things and estimating and looking at what you're doing. And then in the end you come back, and by turning off all your lines, using the shadows, evaluating that shape by rotating it around, looking at it from all angles to see if it is the exact shape and curve that you want. And then if it isn't, you may have to go back and pick some areas and use again the excuse me, the rotate tool to make modifications. A lot of trial and error, a lot of really freehand work rather than using automatic tools. Okay, again, I wanted to show you that in this lesson. A lot of you may never choose to use this or need to use it, but if you come up with a particular problem you can't seem to solve, then this is the way you have to go, or say, okay, what it's doing is fine, I'm going to work with that. Alright, so this is the final lesson on shell drawing and working with shells in our trailers. Following lessons will include the frame, and I'll be looking at even some plumbing things in later lessons.